So you're using your wrists every single time you putt, regardless of the putt length and regardless of whether or not you're trying to use them or not. But using your wrists isn't as bad as you might think. What's really important is how to manage that motion. Today, using the HackMotion wrist sensor, we're going to really look at what goes on at the wrist level in putting when it comes to the up and down nature of the wrists. This is a really important piece if you struggle to control strike on the putter face. If you want to become a better putter, continue watching this video and I'll share with you how to manage this part of the stroke and become a better putter on the greens. So the up and down nature of the wrist motion when you're swinging the putter really influences the arc or the plane on which this putter would move. The movement of the wrist in this plane is known as ulnar deviation, when you're moving the handle of the golf club or the wrist into this up condition, or the opposite movement would be referred to as radial deviation, where you're hinging the putter or the wrists in a more upward fashion like so. So you've got ulnar and you've got radial. There's no distinct better or worse necessarily when it comes to this part of the stroke, but it is important that you're managing the range of that, not allowing that to change too dramatically throughout the putting stroke. With HackMotion, we can measure exactly what's going on with this part of the stroke, and as I go ahead and hit a few putts, we're going to start to get a little bit of feedback here on the screen. So the very first putt that I'm hitting there, we're going to see that I had a little bit too much radial deviation. This is also measuring other parts of the stroke, and there's separate videos that we have on the HackMotion channel that help you to understand that. The radial ulnar deviation, as I lengthen out my stroke and hit this ball a little further across the green, we're going to see again there's a little bit too much radial deviation. Now, this part of my stroke doesn't tend to get too far off track. You'll see from the data on the screen there that it's other areas of my stroke that tend to get a little bit off. If I was to excessively ulnar deviate my wrist in the way back, I'd make it go in like this with the incorrect hinging or flexing of the wrist. The ulnar would pull the sweet spot in, and it would make me prone to mishitting the ball on the putter face. You'll see there that there was too much ulnar deviation, the putter came in too much. This topic matters because this affects the travel of the putter head, and the putter head is responsible for where you hit on the face, where you hit the ball on the face. It's important that you're managing centered contact. Hitting the ball in the center of the putter face will help you to become more predictable in terms of how much, or how fast I should say, that the ball comes off the face, and then that helps you with managing the distance that your putts travel. So let me share with you a drill that we can do now within the app and then away from the app that will help you to train this skill. So having done some practice there, I can hit the overview button and it will show that my ulnar radial needs some attention, and I can fix this issue inside the drill that's within the app. So I'm going to go through the live version of this drill with you. You can see how this works. You're going to take your normal setup, and the app's going to recognize that I'm standing still in my address position, and then it's going to ask me to hit some putts. As I mentioned before, this area of my stroke doesn't tend to get too far off. So with me hitting a range of putts here, it's likely that I'm going to be green or pretty close to green. But if you were to start recognizing that this was a problem for you, as you make this attempt within the drill and you move your wrist out of range, you're going to get a noise, audible feedback that I'm out of range, and I have a vibration of the sensor here that I can feel, which means my wrist is out of range. So there's a live version here that I can go through just to recognize where my wrist should sit and stay within that green zone. Okay, one more time. Again, very much within range. As I said, not hugely difficult for me to manage. I do find this gets a little harder to do the longer the putt gets, and that's because as the putter moves through a greater range, your wrists are likely to do so as well. So you just need to be mindful of that. You can practice this drill across a range of different putt lengths to make sure that you're targeting this skill for all putts, not just one set range every single time. One more time, try that. I'm just going to go for that longer version. I'm going to hit this one a little bit further, see what happens to my wrist angles as I go longer on the backswing and the follow through. I can hear there that I didn't quite hit the range, but despite hitting that putt quite a long distance, I was very close to where I needed to be. Let me show you now how you could work with this drill and something else away from the HackMotion app or in conjunction with the HackMotion app to help you manage your sweet spot and improve the quality and the consistency of your strikes with your putts. So the drill that you're going to do is a very common, popular drill that you see a lot of tour players doing, where you place a couple of tee pegs just outside the putter head. So you've got the width of your putter here, and you've got tee pegs placed into the ground just a little bit wider than those, which is going to train you and help you to move your putter head through this space, through this gate as you putt. That's going to train better sweet spot control, and in doing so should help to manage these wrist angles a little bit more successfully. Another thing to consider before we even try this drill would be how you place your hands on the putter and how much ulnar or radial deviation you start with. I'm going to share with you something that I think I see a lot of success with people, is placing the wrists in the first place into a more ulnar deviated position. That would be having the fingers pointing more down, almost like you're shooting these toy guns, these pretend guns from your fingers. You point the index fingers down towards the ground to place the wrist into a more ulnar deviated condition. And the reason that tends to have some success is as you do that, and you could try this while you're watching the video here, just placing your wrist down into that position, there's a locking effect almost in terms of reducing the possible range of motion that these wrists can move in. If the wrist is down in radial deviation, there's quite a large free range of motion going on here. Raise the handle up, place the wrist into ulnar deviation, and all of a sudden the possible ranges there get reduced. So the way that I think about that would be to place the putter in my hands, hold it out in front of me, and get my forearms and putter shaft to line up as best I can. Get this forearm and shaft alignment to be pretty straight. Keeping my elbows close to me at all times. I call this the T-Rex drill, because T-Rex had those tiny little arms, and then we bend forward towards the ball. This puts my wrists into a more up and down, ulnar deviated motion or setup, and it can help manage that wrist condition better through the ball. When you're ready, we're going to hit some. We're going to place the ball in between the two tees. Putter head's going to be in between the two tees as well. I've got some T-Rex here. It's ready for me to make a putt. Try and maintain those wrist angles and hold my finish. That was a really nicely struck putt. Felt right in the center of the putter face. A skill as simple as hitting the center of the putter face gets massively overlooked by golfers because you don't realize very often how far off center you are hitting the ball. These modern putters are made in such a way that you're supposed to get less penalized for hitting off center. But I can't stress enough the importance of learning to hit the center of the putter face and how much value that can add to your ability to control distance across a range of putts. If you hit the center of the putter face, you're going to get the ball coming off the putter face at a more expected rate of speed. Conversely, you start hitting on different parts of the putter face and the same amount of swing is going to produce a very different outcome. It's no wonder you struggle with distance control if you're not hitting the sweet spot. So practice controlling strike via the ulnar deviation, a bit of the T-Rex drill, arms in nice and close, bend forward, these wrists are set in a more ulnar deviated condition, and then practice moving your putter head through the tees to hit the center of the putter and start to get a more predictable, consistent outcome. You can train this across different putt lengths, as I said, and I'd encourage you to do so because the movement of the wrists can change as the length of the putt differs. But if you have the HackMotion at your disposal, you're going to be able to measure your wrists in putting like never before. And because feel is almost always not real, knowing what's really going on at the wrist level and measuring it is so valuable. There's so much you can gain within your putting stroke from using this training aid. If you enjoyed the video today, I'd encourage you to watch the other putting videos that I have made for HackMotion. You'll find those by clicking down on the description below. You'll learn about how to manage your wrists with flexion extension. Today we talked about ulnar radial, and there's other videos there that discuss how timing works within the putting stroke.